Over the previous 2 months, I've been working with great supporter Frans, who offered to put together custom digital drawings of the actual Mistress. Even I had never seen Mistress in this way on plans before. They are brilliant, aren't they? Frans, thanks again, sir. Well, I've no doubt that some people have guessed what this is. Well, now that I've marked out where that sound insulation is going to go, and so what I've decided to do is make a little cutout as a little trapdoor. Well, today's the day, finally. It's GRP time. Andrew, turn around this way, mate, so you can see. Thanks very much, man. I really appreciate that.
Very good.
Well, I've no doubt that some people have guessed what these are, but for those who haven't, this is the sound insulation, specifically built sound insulation for engines on boats from Vetus. And this is really good quality gear. I spent a lot of time researching this slowly over a few months actually, but as far as I can tell, Vetus really are making a brilliant product that has a great reputation both privately and commercially. So I think this is going to absolutely work a treat. Not that Mistress's engine is big or noisy, but even so, to make running the engine a gentle purr underneath the cockpit instead of a clamouring noise, I think will be a nice part and parcel of Mistress's fit out. I remember looking not that long ago and contacting Vetus, and they had no stock at all. So when I was contacting the retailers and they said that Vetus now have stock, I just thought, grab it while it's there, man, because I'm sure most of us know getting things is a waiting game nowadays. I have some other products here to help with the installation. It's this specific silver foil aluminium tape to apply over all the joints to make the installation continuous, removing any gaps. I've also got these little application discs, which they call rosettes, and they are particularly for when installing them overhead. There is a bit of weight to these, so they recommend these big wide discs, these rosettes, to hold them in place so they don't fall down. And while I was there picking these up, the two guys that I spoke with, both Troy and Andrew, were just fantastic guys. I already had a high regard for Vetus, which I think most people do globally. They have a fantastic reputation globally. The guys down there were so friendly and so helpful, and they've also given me a couple of products, both a Maxwell hat and a Vetus shirt, which I'll be happy to whip. But thanks very much to both Troy and Andrew and to Vetus for all they're doing. Good on you guys, you're doing a great job. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thanks very much for your good products. So the plan of attack with this sound insulation, because I've designed and made all of these panels pretty easy to be removed, that's what I'm going to do in order to fit this sound insulation. It'll be a whole lot easier, of course, having the panels out horizontal, where I can just apply the sound insulation and make a good fit of it. There are some obstacles though, where some of the insulation needs to sort of dodge different things. So what I've decided to do is, with a marker, just mark any areas where different things need to happen on the panels themselves, and then remove the panels, have them on a bench, and with that luxury, just apply the sound insulation, which will mean that not only putting them back, but whenever in the future they'll need to be removed, they'll be able to be removed without damaging that sound insulation. Well, now that I've marked out where that sound insulation is going to go, I've got these panels down below again. I've got the insulation ready to go, and speaking with the people who supplied it, a boxing knife is going to be sufficient to cut through that foam and that thicker bit. And on asking, the other thing that they confirmed was the surface that the insulation is going to bond to, because these are adhesive backed in order to fit them, that I needed to make sure what they were going to adhere to was prepared properly. I didn't think that any sort of sanding in order to bond that adhesive with was going to be necessary, and it isn't. And they just confirmed some soapy water, pretty much just make sure that it's greasy, oily free, and that will be enough to get them to be put in place and stay there. Well, per usual, I'm developing a bit of a list of little epoxy jobs. So I thought I'd attack this cabin sole piece. I've always known that I've got to put a little trapdoor in this piece because there's a through-hole valve that sits right pretty much in the middle of this panel. And so what I've decided to do is make a little cutout as a little trapdoor for very quick and easy access to that through-hole ball valve, rather than having to remove the whole panel. A little panel there to open and close right over the top of that will make very, very quick and easy access to that through-hole valve, which of course is pretty damn important. It did take a bit of thinking about how I was going to get it solved actually. Like normal with so many boat jobs, a little job comes up and you think, oh yeah, that'll be easy to solve. And it's like, no. And this was another one. Making the cutout, that's going to be fairly easy, although I need to be pretty careful to make a good cut on that because that will be very much seen. So I need to make nice straight cuts, and the corners will be another thing. And also hinging it was not a problem, but how to lift it, in other words, what type of latch to lift it, but also how to keep it shut. And that was the thing that kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I had an assumption in my head that that'll be easy, but not so easy. I have come up with a good solution, I think. And on that point, just to explain that sometimes just letting your head and brain, your subconscious and unconscious, stew on problems over a bit of time, whether it be 1 day, 3 days, or even sometimes a month, your subconscious and your unconscious mostly do know how to work ourselves out of things if we give it time. Well, today's the day, finally. It's GRP time. Finally, I can start with putting the GRP taping on all of these joints to get this heads work back on track and moving again. I am looking forward to seeing all of these corners and pieces taped with the GRP, but I can admit I do approach with a bit of trepidation because it's not work familiar to me and this is all going to be seen. So fingers crossed, I hope that all the conversation with Roscoe is going to pay off. So the process will be to measure out all these areas that need to be taped, cut up some cloth. I'll be applying 2 layers of the cloth. The second one will be slightly larger than the first, and then mix up some epoxy, wet all these areas, apply the cloth, roll it all flat and roll out all the air bubbles, apply peel ply, which I'm going to use to hopefully make it all much smoother and give me a better finish. And then it'll be fingers crossed to wake up in the morning and be able to remove that peel ply, and hopefully it's going to come out a treat. Well, it's the day after, it's a moment of truth. So the next day, after my first attempt at such a big lot of fiberglassing, yes, I've done some very small fiberglassing jobs before, but nothing quite like this. So it's time to peel off that peel ply and see what sort of job it turned out to be. Fingers crossed, of course, but there's also another aspect to this which, even if it's not perfect, I still need to do quite a bit more work in there. So even if it's not great, I will be able to patch things up somewhat. But anyway, let's go in there, peel off that peel ply, something I've never done before, and see what it looks like. At 22 minutes, I'm already stretched to finish this episode, everybody. So tune in to the next episode to find out how things turned out, and more. And of course, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Click the bell so you get the notifications. Check out my website. And as I always say, leave a comment because I like reading what you have to say.